325 Exploring Security Frameworks. You're going to need the stuff from last time in your last lesson. But let's start. What's ethical hacking? Ethical hacking is where you're hacking on purpose because the company lets you. Sometimes people do this, they just let you hack because you're going to tell them what you found out. You're going to help them secure their systems. They're going to pay you. It's a good job. There are 4 steps or 4 phases to this: reconnaissance, scanning, compromise, and remediation. So, first step, reconnaissance. You can identify that structure. You kind of see, okay, how many computers do I have? Where's the IP addresses? How's this server? How's this system structured, set up? And after you figure out that structure, we want to scan it. You want to scan it to discover, hey, what services, what ports are available on each of these servers? Like what is open? What doors are open, right? And then the next step, we try to compromise. Like, okay, now that I see what you had available, let's see what I can break right here. Let's see, like, I'm kind of suspicious of. Let's see if you lock down certain things, and I figure it out. After I figure out what I could break, remediation is the last step where I try to help you close those security vulnerabilities and improve your security. So imagine if you're robbing houses, like in the movie Home Alone. Gotta scope out the neighborhood. Got to get, okay, so you're looking where the houses are. Then you get inside, kind of look around, see what stuff they have. Then you start messing with their stuff. But you're a good person. You're not stealing it. You start taking things, and then you come back to them and say, hey, this is the stuff I stole. You got to lock your door. So let's start with step 1, reconnaissance. Do this over 2 parts. First phase of ethical hacking involves probing the networks to understand its structure and what services are open and running. So remember, like, services could be email, web servers, chat, FTP could be a service. In the last activity, we performed some of that reconnaissance when we scanned the water treatment facility. Remember, with like the unknown scan, where we went from like Web 01 to scan the network. So we can do that kind of. So that would be reconnaissance right here. We have to use some kind of network scanning tools to like kind of just reveal the setup, which we did last time, and we're going to do right now. That's using ZenMap. You remember ZenMap? So we're going to use that same tool again right here. So let's launch this thing. Let's see. Is it up yet? Oh, it's not. So let's pause and wait. Work. All right, now we're up. We're going to open this ZenMap, the eyeball thing, just like last time. And it's being slow today. So we're going to scan using 10.2.00.24, just like before. And then we're going to do a ping scan and hit the scan button. Okay. So we're going to copy things over. And then, oops, don't do that twice. It's just like weirdly laggy today. Let's do a ping scan this time. And we're going to hit scan button. So this should take about a minute. It took less than that last time. So let's see what it shows. And this thing is moving, so it's going. Okay, it's all done. So this information, it's what this is going to show me. This is all the IP addresses on the network. So 1, 2. If you remember this from last time, a little or 2 times ago, we scanned on this network. And remember, on our network, we should have 5, 6, 7, and 8 are legit. So 5, 6, 7, 8. 9, 1, and 2 are actually Project Lead the Way stuff for the lab, so you kind of ignore those. But there's our setup right here. And notice when we ping, if you ping on computers, it's about like sending, it's just kind of like a poking. You're poking these IP addresses, say like, hey, respond to me, and just to see if they're there. And you kind of see your latency back and forth, right? But bucketing your ping speed. So this tells me my ping speed between each of these hosts, which is basically instantaneous right here, because the same network. That's good. I'll get the IP addresses. I'll get MAC addresses for these things. So that's the scan. What does it show? It shows the identity of the host, the water treatment facility, but includes like MAC addresses and ping time. We can actually view a visual representation of this by clicking the topology tab. So you click this, and you see this thing right here. Now, it's being really slow for me right now, but we can zoom in. I don't know. I think PLTW is just having a weird day. But you can kind of move this around. This is trying to map out what the network looks like. So this is us logging in, And these were all these IP addresses for each of the computers. So maybe, it's just one big spiral right now, but sometimes you might have a network where, okay, you log in one computer, but then this router links to a few other computers, and then this other router links to other computers here. So you might have a more complicated network. Just for this one, this is us as the local host. This guy, Target Windows, and then actually it's not even that. And this is just like your local host router. Just boom, boom. All these computers are set up. It's pretty basic right here. Not a few levels deep, but it's being kind of slow right now. I don't know. But there you go. When you run the scan, click controls and change the zoom slider. Whenever you run a scan, the specific nmap command, its results are temporarily saved. You observe the scans tab to see the command. So, okay. So this is the scan I did. It's kind of like a history, I guess. Now I want to save this as a PDF file. You're going to need this for future parts, so make sure you guys do this. I'm going to hit print. So to scan and go to print, and let's print to a PDF. And we're going to save it on our desktop. Now I'm going to call it my name ping scan. So I'm going to go Kofi period 2 ping scan. And let's save it to the desktop because we're going to eventually save it on our regular computers too. So it should appear right over here. Boom. All right. Your next step. And now in my document, I asked you to screenshot that so that you did it. In ZenMap. So we're going to do another scan right here in ZenMap. We're going to scan, the target's going to be 10205, which is Pump PLC, if you don't remember. Pump PLC 10205. So we're going to go 10205 as my target. And then I'm going to do Quick Scan Plus. So Quick Scan Plus. Remember 2 times ago, we did Quick Scan. This time we're going to do Quick Scan Plus and hit the scan button. All right, this should take a little bit longer. It should take a few minutes. It should take 1 or 2 minutes. It scans the 100 most common or well-known TCP port addresses on the specified list. So we're going to wait for this. All right, and it's done. Minute or 2 took me. So this was tripping me up because the next question is, okay, scan this. When the scan, observe what the output tab is giving you. So it's giving you all the ports, what's open, and then the state, and then their service. And then it also gives you version number. You might be like, oh, isn't this what Quick Scan did? Now, Quick Scan before wouldn't give you the version number. But now when you do the Quick Scan Plus, you're getting this version of, so think of this as this is the service FTP, but this version says which program or add-on or whatever you want to call it or plugin. I don't know. We can think about like what app is actually creating that FTP service. So there's some program that's actually running that FTP called Pro FTPD. SSH is being run by OpenSSH. The HTTP, like your web server, is running on an Apache web server service. So those are what's going on here. And MySQL, running with MySQL, an unauthorized version. Awesome. PLTW is a bunch of hackers. Or your company's using, I don't know, pirated software maybe? I don't know. The other things you might see on here, I don't know what this garbage is. Couldn't figure that one out. But they also say the network distance is 1 hop. So this is saying like, oh yeah, if you wanted to get to this network site, it was going to be like a 1-step process to get to this. So, yeah, or there's not like a bunch of routers you have to jump through. Okay. And then service info right here. I want to see if I can zoom in. I feel like you can't see it very well if you're watching the video. Well. One thing here, you might see it tells you what the name of the service, Pump PLC. It also tells you the operating system. That's a Unix or Linux operating system. And, versus a Windows. Like if I did that scan on Web 01, I'd probably gonna say Windows. So, hey, here's what it showed you. Open ports, services running, and the version information. So we're gonna save that scan PDF. So scan, save it just like we did last time. PDF. And we're going to call this my name Brophy P2. We're going to call this this is from Pump PLC. Say Quick Scan Plus. Save it. Did I save it on my desktop? I hope I did. Yep, I did. Cool. So save this. And now I want to download to my local machine. And if you don't remember how to, this is step 8. I want to take both these and download to the local machine. So open up, we're going to use that guacamole thing right here, G on guacamole, and this downloads folder. So I'm going to drag these to downloads, and it should start downloading on your local machine right here. So it'll be saved in your downloads folder. So if I show in folder right here, you'll be able to see, oh, look, all my stuff. And this was period 1 stuff too. Now it's saved. Save it somewhere that you won't lose this because you're going to need to reference this later. All right. So now that we've downloaded those, step 9 here, and we got okay, so screenshots of both those. We're going to answer these 4 questions right here. It's A, B, C, and D. So we're going to open these save scan files and see a few things. So for the ping scan one, this is this one. Now this is that information we saw on ZenMap too. It's just, I hate like this. The ZenMap kind of makes a nice graphical interface. This one's kind of harder to read, but whatever. For the ping scan, confirm the IP addresses match your topology diagram of the water treatment facility network. Call some of the addresses are responsible for running the virtual lab. So what it's saying is, oh, remember these IPs? Our network is 5, 6, 7, and 8. Yep, and those are still on there. And then 1, 2, and 9 were the PLTW ones. So we're just confirming that, yep, we have all those IP addresses that we're supposed to have for the network. Now, Quick Scan Plus, let's open up this one. This is the pump PLC thing here. All right. What does the scan provide about the specific host that isn't available on Quick Scan? You might be like, what was Quick Scan? Because I don't remember that. And I found so back in the activity like 232, they told us to save this PDF. And like, then they never used it. So I was like, what? I have mine. It's right here, but you know what you should do? This is my quick scan. Forget that. Let's just do a quick scan right here. You can see the difference. We'll just scan just 5. Like, it's no big deal. Just do it right here. I don't even know why you might have to use it later. So quick scan. Now when we scanned it, we scanned all the IP addresses, but quick scan provided us ports and then the service information for each of these. Ports and services, right? Quick Scan Plus, the difference here is it also gives us this version information. So what does Quick Scan provide about a specific host that isn't available in Quick Scan? What kind of addition? So here's the hint. It provides the version numbers, and these will be important in today's lesson. It also tells you what operating system you're running down here. That's kind of important. Then those are the big things. But for Linux, I mean, assuming you didn't know that, now you know. It might tell you what programs you could run on a computer. All right, record the detailed information for the required services on Pump PLC. So what were the required services? So this is all the services, but you might be like, wait, which ones were required? Let's go back to our work, and I have it in my notes out here. We highlighted the required ones in yellow for Pump PLC. So the 2 required ones were FTP and SSH. The other services we don't need. So what we want to know is record the detailed information for those 2. And those would be these 2 right here. So I want to know for the required services, what version are they running? So I'd write down, I would copy this information. So FTP is this Pro FTP version 135, and SSH is Open SSH 661 P1. All this other stuff. Like, I'd save all that. It's going to be good. So that is record the information. For the essential services, which of these should be accessible from outside the firewall? So this is a what do you think question C. So those 2 services, SSH and FTP, outside of your firewall, which should be available? And then the hint is consider the purpose of the firewall and how you as a network administrator performed all your tests. Should people outside of your network be able to FTP to that computer, to Pump PLC? So here's what I would say to this. And actually, you can have different opinions on this, and it's fine. I would say pump PLC. FTP shouldn't be accessible for outside because it's just pump PLC and pump monitor are the only FTP between PLC and pump monitor. This is the only one that should FTP. So I don't want it from outside. FTP seems like definitely should be locked down. Now, SSH is how you like enter the command line secured shell. And the way I interpreted that is that should be not blocked by the firewall because you have to get to it from this computer and you get to it from the internet. Now, I said no, but the answers in here said, oh, both of them should be blocked by the firewall. But it said, depends how you interpret that question. Like, remember with the firewalls, like, firewalls can be like a router. Like, this computer have a firewall, and each of these have a firewall. And whatever switch that's switching between these has a firewall too. So when I guess it's this firewall right here, or it's like the network's firewall. I mean, I think it depends on how you read that question. But definitely FTP should only happen between these two. Now, last question. How would unethical hackers use information from these scans to their advantage? Leave that up to you. Answer there. I think you can kind of deduce that. All right. So there, I did my reconnaissance right there. Let's do our scanning. Second phase of ethical hacking involves taking a closer look at the services and software running on hosts. For example, which application versions, operating system, platforms are deployed as part of this penetration. Security professionals use special scanning tools such as Nessus, which detect and can exploit network vulnerabilities. Most common type of scanning is a port scanning. So now that we did our reconnaissance, we know what it looks like. We're going to use another software to kind of like examine for vulnerabilities and see which things aren't set up right. We're going to use a new tool. So let's go through the steps. We don't need that PDF. Now on Target Windows 01, which is this lab right here. Close this. I don't need it. Close anyways. I don't care. Before we want to open up PowerShell and we want to stop Nessus and start it again. So PowerShell is this blue thing right here. So we're going to run this command net stop Tenable Nessus. Tenable, I think, is the name of the company. So paste. Then I right click it. Okay, it should have been. Oh, I don't know. I think it's just lagging for me. So I stop it. And guess what? I want to start it. So you just have to say net start. And it's going to start this service. Boom. So reset everything. Now, step 11. From the Windows Start button, select Tenable Network Security Nessus Web Client. So we go to this Windows Start thing. Oh, lab is just laggy. And click this web client. It's going to open a website. Now, it might give you this warning about the connection not being private. This is a Chrome security feature. But you're just going to say, nah, just go through it. So we go, wait till this opens up. Yeah, privacy error. Your connection is not private because it's not like secure here. But just go to advanced and go proceed to localhost. Don't worry, I trust it. All right. So we're at Nessus's. I mean, this is like we have this. We're kind of pretending I have this. I'm kind of logging. I think I'm logging into Nessus is something like on the internet. I'm kind of like logging into like a version of it for this lab that'll be able to scan this network, something like that. Or maybe it's like no, it's a program on this computer. I'm not really sure how this works. It's actually a program, or is this a website? I mean, it uses a web browser, but it could still be a local program. I think it's a local program that's scanning. That's true. It's kind of like an antivirus scanning or like malware scanning to like if you have like adware on your computer. So username is admin. Password is password just for this lab because why would we have a secure password? You will now scan your known vulnerabilities to your host, Pump PLC. Click New Scan, then select Advanced Scan. So there's a few steps in here, and you want to follow these closely. New Scan. Okay, like there's a lot of stuff we can do in here, right? Ooh, malware scan, fun stuff. Gonna hit Advanced Scan. All right. All right. Ignore this licensing thing. I think this is because PLTW didn't pay for the license update. They're probably hackers. I don't know. cheating the system. Step 14, we're going to configure all this. So we've got to be following these steps. On basic general settings, enter the following info. So basic general settings, we're here. We're going to put my name, advanced scan 1. So I'm going to go Brophy, advanced scan 1. Description, pump PLC, advanced scan. And then I'll leave it in the folder. And then the target is 10205. So go 10205. We add all that in. All right, and that's it. Now we're going to go to the report page right here. So report. And override normal verbosity. Make it yes. Check this. And then report as much information as possible. Yes. We're going to do that one. Radio dial. And leave everything else. On the advanced page, enable safe checks. We're going to change that to no, and everything else the same. So this enables safe checks. Turn that off. And then we click save at the bottom. You scroll down the bottom, you see this blue button, save. Scroll down, it was kind of hidden. And saved it. All right. To run the scan, click the select checkbox next to your name. Advanced scan, near the top right of the page, click more, and then select launch and launch again. So you're going to check this. I already forgot what it said. More, click more. We're going to go to launch. We're going to hit launch again. So now it's going to start this scan. And this will take a little bit of time. This could take like 15 minutes or so. I don't think it took that. Since the scan queries many ports and waits for replies. It's like when you do a virus scan. But it's instead of looking for viruses, it's like looking for all the services on your network or on that computer, and it's searching for known vulnerabilities. Like it's like viruses. Those virus scanning software knows how to do that because they know which programs are out there that are bad programs, because they're always looking for new viruses that people are making. And it's just added to this big database. So it's searching this big database of known vulnerabilities. And how do they know what's vulnerable? They know like what service is out there. Like, oh, if you have this version of this program, there's a known exploit right here, right there. And so it kind of like keeps track of all those, and it just checks everything you have running, all programs on the computer, all ports and stuff open, and it tells you what you haven't fixed, like a virus scanner. While we're waiting, we can review the scan right here. Click on to review it. So we can actually click on this, and you can see things pop up. It's kind of like when you do a virus scan, you'll have stuff pop up, right? As things go along. So far we found 39 info vulnerability, or right here, stuff going on. Start time, status, blah, blah, blah. It's running. Done this before. Nessus is so what is Nessus? Yeah, it's a security tool. It's like a virus scanner. Scans a system for known vulnerabilities. And when a vulnerability is reported or discovered anywhere in the world, the engineers at Nessus add it to their program list of their things, their plugin, as another bad thing. Other things are always added, right? Using that list, Nessus determines whether a system has known vulnerabilities. It's just checking everything on the list. A Nessus report will print out all the known vulnerabilities. This is an example where you have like these blue ones are just informational. So as 1 critical, 2 mixed, 1 medium vulnerability, and a variety of info vulnerabilities. These vulnerabilities can be related to services, operating systems, and applications. So yeah, it might be your operating system is like out of date, has vulnerabilities. Yeah. So, and there's different levels. Some things are like, oh, that's a big one. And some of these are maybe not as big. All right. For your scan, Nest is looking for open ports in the remote host pump PLC because we told it 05. Most common type of scan uses a TCP handshake. So if the handshake is successful, the scan found an open port. The handshake is implemented in a layer 4. Okay, whatever. Nessus finds an open port. It tests the service associated with that port. Recall that the service, so it says, hey, it's looking for like open doors. And it says, this handshake, it says, oh, we made a connection. Oh, cool. Now that you let me in, let's see what I can find. So then it digs in, sees if it can find some vulnerabilities. So like if you leave, let's say your email service open, it can go in there and then says, okay, now I can snoop around. But if you close that, then it couldn't check the email services. Certain things you do want to keep open, right? Because you got to have FTP and SSH. SS finds this, it tests the service, sometimes one that listens for network traffic, such as HTTP and FTP. There's a bug, an oversight or weakness, it might affect the network. Okay, so step 20 here. I think it's the last thing we're going to do today. We're going to research one of these on the Nessus website. So what I want you to do, Nessus Tenable. So you're going to go on a regular browser. Don't do it through the lab. So in this, their directions might be different. I went to you can go to tenable.com. So what you want to do next, and it tells you is on the homepage, explore our latest research and navigate. We want to find 84215. All right. Oh, what is this? Tenable bot? Shut up. So go to research up here. They don't the directions are kind of vague because they know the Tenable website could update over the years, right? But here's where it is. Go to research up here. And if you scroll all the way down, we want to actually search their stuff. Scroll down and go to Nessus plugins down here. And then this is it's basically a list of all their plugins or all the vulnerabilities they know. So we're going to go in the search area over here. And we're going to search for 84215. 84215. And there it is. Click on this one. Notice this was published in 2016. Oh no, 2015. It was updated in 2020. The latest one as of today. Today is 2021. So Pro FTP, there's a vulnerability. So what does this want us to do? Describe the plugin and its severity. So this is a plugin that basically lets us, remote host is running this Pro FTPD, affected by information disclosure. This is something that runs FTP, right? The remote host is running a version that is affected by an information disclosure vulnerability in the mod copy module due to site blah, 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 and site blah, blah, blah commands being available to unauthenticated clients. An unauthenticated remote attacker can exploit the flaw, read and write arbitrary files to the web accessible path. So the way I'd explain this is, hey, there's certain commands that you can do, like, those Linux commands, right? You type in the keyboard. Some of those commands, typically you don't want unauthorized people not logged in to be able to run some of those. Well, these two commands, turns out an unauthorized person could run it. They didn't lock those down. So, and a remote hacker can use those to potentially read and write arbitrary files on the web. This would be like, imagine you're at an awards ceremony. You're on Zoom and you open it to the public. And you're like, I got to make sure no one can just turn on their mics and say something random. So I'm going to make sure everyone stays muted. Good. I got my security. You're like, yeah, keep it secure. But then you forgot to turn off annotations. You left it open so the public could annotate. You might have locked down some of the stuff, but you forgot that weird random annotation thing because that's hard to find for a normal person. So what could potentially happen is someone during your presentation could start annotating all over your PowerPoint. That would never happen. It's basically the same idea. You think you locked everything down, but you didn't. What's the solution to? Is upgrade to the latest version. That's what I love about this. Just upgrade. Keep your stuff up to date. All right. So scan may still be running. I think it's done right now. So one thing you'll notice here, you'll see a critical vulnerability related to Pro FTPD. So if we go to vulnerabilities tab, we got one. Click on it. And it says, hey, you're running a version that's affected by this. Upgrade. Yeah. So yeah, there you go. That's what this does. And then it tells us what to do. We can upgrade to the latest version. I'm going to pause. I'm going to stop the video here. Part 2, we're going to finish this.